All right, it's 1:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Commission for March 18, 2024 to order. We'll go ahead and start with roll call. Commissioner Varnell.
Here.
Commissioner Littlefield is not available. Commissioner Long.
Present.
Commissioner Hale.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Schuline. Here. Go to Commissioner Wynn.
Here.
Commissioner George.
Here.
And Commissioner Cornett.
Here.
Very good. I need a motion concerning the minutes of the Traffic and Transportation Commission for February 19, 2024, please.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wynn. Any discussion on the meeting minutes? Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Hale, seconded by Commissioner Wynn. Votes, please.
Nope, it's not popping up. Stand by. There we go.
Okay, all 8 in favor, item passed. Okay, we go on now to item 3, reports from the Traffic and Services Division in the Counselor's Office. Sir?
All right, you've got our monthly report before you. We've got summaries on commission-approved traffic signals. We also have a status report on the alternative speed abatement program. Since the last time we reported, we've had speed cushions installed on 2 additional streets. 2 were placed on Southwest 15th Street between Douglas Avenue and McKinley Avenue. That occurred the day after the last commission meeting. And on March 5th, a pair of speed cushions were installed on Northwest 5th Street. We are expecting delivery for some mounting brackets for driver speed back signs, one to go on Villa Avenue, another to go on Northwest 55th Terrace. Those are due in, I believe, later this week, so we anticipate we will have those out and installed probably by the middle part of next week. And at this point in time, of the original $50,000 allocated by the City Council, there are $23,498 left in the program for allocation. It was also requested at the last meeting to provide some photographs of some of the speed abatement features that we've got out. So the following 2 pages in your agenda show speed cushions. The very first one is on Elmhurst Avenue, and that was the very first one installed under the program. There's one on 26th Street. I've got a close-up for you on the following page, which is on Northwest 36th Street, and then the last ones, which were just installed adjacent to Gatewood Elementary. They're on Southwest 15th Street. I'm going to go backwards to the pictures showing you the Elmhurst speed cushions. If you will look at it, Elmhurst was installed on a street that does not have curb. So it's a relatively narrow roadway as opposed to Northwest 26th Street, which is a traditional 26-foot wide curb and gutter street. And you'll notice that there's a significant difference between the wheel paths on the speed cushions on 26th Street versus on Elmhurst Avenue. These are just things that, it's not an unusual thing to run into, but speed cushion placement has to be where it has to be in order to allow emergency vehicles to pass as unimpeded as possible, and also for the cushions to be in place so that they cover a maximum amount of roadway. And then beyond that, we have our summary on yield controls. It's installed administratively, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on any portion of this section of the agenda.
I have a couple questions. Stuart, remind us about the $50,000 that the City Council approved. Is that going to be an annual thing, or are we going to spend that and then go back to them for more?
At this point in time, it's a single-time allocation, but I do think that there's another allocation in the works. But yeah, it is not an annually recurring thing.
And my second one is your opinion personally about cushions or speed humps. Like, I sent you something that our neighborhood's going to look at that. What would you recommend for a neighborhood like mine?
Essentially, a speed cushion is a variation of a speed hump. I believe the current thinking behind behind using the two different devices is that a speed cushion has lesser impact on first responder arrival times. And so Institute of Transportation Engineers recommends use of a speed cushion versus a speed hump. But they both achieve the same, essentially the same result. One is just a little bit easier on wider wheelbase vehicles used by like fire apparatus. So in your particular case, the only thing that we are currently installing under the program are the speed cushions.
And we're going to put ours right at stop signs. Any particular reason why we do one or the other because of that reason?
We would probably not recommend they go in at stop signs because I think ITE's recommended practice is they don't go right in as close to a stop sign because that's not where your speed occur, any higher speeds might occur. It'll occur away from traffic control devices. So they'd be more like mid-block or maybe at the third points along a block, depending on how long the block length is.
Look forward to working with you on it. Thanks.
So then what you're thinking then, I think, is a speed bump that's like a 5 mile an hour speed bump or a 2 mile an hour speed bump to make sure people stop at a stop sign. Is that what you're maybe talking about?
Pretty much to slow them down at the stop signs for sure. We've got them strategically placed in my neighborhood that are stop signs that's where we want people to slow down and stop anyway. So.
Right, and I don't know if under this program, we talked about helping people stop at stop signs. Am I right? Is that kind of?
I think the gentleman on your left might be able to better address that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, when we look at this program, speed abatement is different than stopping at a stop sign abatement.
I think we're trying to accomplish both at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, because if you want them to stop, you're going to have a 3 to 5 mile an hour bump compared to a speed cushion, which is usually at the speed limit.
Right. I mean, and it's never our intent to put something in a roadway which would, for a driver to have to slow down to a point where they're just barely crawling over something, that is chances are something that will cause damage to a vehicle or potentially result in a driver losing control. And this program is about speed control. It is not about, potentially causing damage or injuries.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else for the staff? Okay, counsel's office, you got anything, ma'am? No, nothing from the counselor office, okay. All right, there's nothing on the consent docket, so we move to item 5A. Michelle Mayhem. All-way stop control at North Morgan Road and Northwest 164th Street. We have anybody here to speak on this item? Okay, staff?
All right, you've got our comments before you. I'm kind of starting on page 3 of your report. You'll see there's kind of a lengthy dissertation, and actually it's basically copying the newest sections of the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices into your staff report. The manual, the most recent edition of the manual, which is the 11th edition, became effective in January of this year. And as far as always stop control criteria go, they have expanded the number of conditions in which stop control like this can be considered. It used to be primarily based on crash experience and traffic volumes. What's new to this version of the manual is they've got a section on sight distance. And so on page 4 of the report, there's section 2B.14, which is always stop control warrant B, which covers sight distance. And in this particular case, at this intersection, looking west on Northwest 164th Street, the intersection doesn't have sufficient sight distance based on the city's internal criteria for decision sight distance. So on that criteria alone, this particular intersection would merit consideration for use of always stop control. And based on the records we received from the Oklahoma City Police Department, within the past 3 years, there have been 4 crashes, and every single one of them had involved northbound vehicles and eastbound vehicles. And where we have short decision sight distances looking off to the west, so it would be looking at approaching eastbound vehicles. So based on on the latest criteria and the fact that every surrounding intersection to this particular location, at least as far as Oklahoma City goes, to the west, the south, and the east, all those intersections are always stop controlled. Adding always stop at this particular intersection won't violate driver expectation, and considering it's got short decision sight distance, it would be a good candidate for always stop control. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on the application.
All right, do we have a motion concerning item 5A?
Motion for approval?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Varnell. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Cornett. Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Cornett. And we're waiting to vote, and now we can vote. Item is approved, all 8 in favor. Okay, we go on now to item 5B, David and Jonah Posna. 2 items, north and southbound U-turn restriction on North Clawson Boulevard at Northwest 37th Street and north and southbound U-turn restriction on North Clawson Boulevard at Northwest 38th. Do you have anybody here to speak on this item? Okay, sir, if I could have your name and address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is David Pasnow. I live at 1417 Northwest 38th Street. I am the petitioner. Does everybody have a copy of the letter that I've submitted? If you had a chance to review it, I've got copies. If you don't, great. Well, I think the letter speaks for itself. It's meant to be pretty short and sweet. With the inflow in the city and now the proposed class in TIF and the BRT, traffic is up. The no U-turn restrictions that we have proposed really aren't too much of an inconvenience for the local businesses. As you can see, well, maybe not so much on the map. Most of the locations have ingress and egress on both Classen and either 37th or 38th or 39th. And we have the stoplights at 36th and 39th with protected left turns on the green arrows, which if you needed to get into one of those businesses, you could go up to the light, make a quick U-turn, and be inconvenienced a minute or two. Not too much of an inconvenience. On the topic of safety and the amount of traffic that we're seeing on Classen, in addition to the speed cushions that you mentioned on 36 that were recently installed, we're just seeing so much more traffic in the area. And I think this would be a nice enhancement. It would help on the safety as well. Any questions or comments?
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak? Yes, sir. If I could have your name and address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Aaron Hernandez Manley, and I own the building located at 3801 North Clawson Boulevard. It's basically on the 37th and Clawson on the west side, this would affect my building, and also it would affect my clients getting to my office. And I represent the young lady that was hit at this intersection, which is 1 block to the north, which is 38th and Clawson. Effectively, what this gentleman wants to do, his daughter hit my secretary, and his daughter instead of turning into the extreme right lane as she was heading south on Clawson, she actually veered into where my assistant was driving effectively. So the law says in Oklahoma, it's 47 OS 11601, so if you're turning right, you need to turn into the extreme right lane. If you're turning left, you need to do the same. What effectively they want to do is create a rule, like don't bother with the law. She hit my assistant, and she was 100% at fault. And so instead of talking to their daughter, saying, hey, you need to follow these rules, they want to change the rules instead of teaching her how to drive properly. So we would not want this to pass. We think it's absolutely absurd. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Sir, you have a few more minutes.
I'm not sure if the mic is on. Can we come to the middle? Just to clarify, insurance has ruled on this, and it's a no-fault accident. and the cars met in the middle, and I have the video.
And, sir, yeah, well, yeah, and also, when you're done, sir, if you could fill out one of these up here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I represent also my assistant, and Progressive contacted USAA, and we got an email back from them saying that his is not a no-fault accident. They're 100% at fault, period.
All right, thank you very much.
May I fill out?
Yeah, please, yeah, you can just fill it out there. Yeah, you can just fill it out there. Okay, somebody else wanted to speak on this item? Oops, sorry. Okay, anybody else wanted to speak on this item? All right, staff?
All right, you've got our comments before you. When we did research on this particular item, we did get the MUTCD now, for the most part, requires when we look at crash histories. It used to reference for a lot of items that we look at the most recent 12 months as far as crash experience goes. It now basically instructs us to look at the most recent 3 years for crash experience. So with the assistance of the police department, we had records pulled for both of the locations. So from the period from January 1st of 2021 through December 31st of 23, OCPD records show that there was one collision reported at the intersection of Classen and Northwest 37th Street in 2023, 2 collisions at that intersection in 22 and 2 in 21. Of these crashes, none involved U-turning vehicles. And at Northwest 38th Street, there were 2 collisions reported in 23, 1 in 22, and none in 2021. And again, at Northwest 38th Street, no collisions involved U-turning vehicles. We did do on page 3 of your report, page 2, and at the end of page 2 and the beginning of page 3, you'll see that we had done a study of turning movements where we were observing vehicles entering this particular median opening, whether they be crossing from Northwest 38th Street or making U-turns. The overall U-turn volume is relatively low. And as I noted earlier, in the past three years, there have been no crashes at either one of these median openings that involved a U-turning vehicle. With respect to moving U-turns to either Northwest 36th Street or 39th Street, depending on destination, both of those intersections have got dual left turn lanes. And because the lanes on Classen themselves are not terribly wide, a U-turn from a location with a dual left turn is, although it's not currently prohibited, it would be problematic because you could not effectively run a dual U-turn. And right now, the way the signal is set up, you could potentially have that condition exist. So in summary, in the past 3 years, since there have been no crashes involving U-turning vehicles at either Northwest 37th or 38th, the requested restrictions don't appear to be necessary to mitigate any hazards associated with U-turns. And so at this point in time, staff doesn't have justification to recommend the requested U-turn restrictions, but I will be happy to answer any questions you might have relative to the application.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion concerning item 5B?
Motion to decline.
Motion to disapprove by Commissioner Hale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Long. Do we have any talk on this item? Yes, sir.
Quick question, and maybe for Mr. Paulsnell. When was the collision that for your daughter and
Good question. It was this past November. So it sounds like the data might not be updated.
and that was kind of one of my questions, is there maybe a coding issue with some of the data that comes in there? Because obviously there's a lot of stuff to put in when you do a collision. Could it be that the collision happened maybe on Classen itself and wasn't pulled in as a U-turn?
Actually, because in recent years, we've been using online resources made available to us through ODOT. They had an application called SafeT, which is being phased out, and now they're using one called AshToware. It's a product by Numetrics. Neither one of those databases are current for our current years. So right now, we're getting all our crash reports straight from the Oklahoma City Police Department. And they're not summary reports. They are the complete reports. So when I made a statement like to the effect that there were no U-turn related collisions, it's because we went through and looked at every single report in detail. And the collision in which the applicant's daughter was involved is one of the reports that we have.
Then what was the finding of this report?
Well, the diagrams and the description provided on the police report indicated that Mr. Pasnow's daughter was making a right turn. She was eastbound on Northwest 38th Street, I believe, and the other young lady that was involved was making a left turn, but she was also coming in from 38th Street, but just from the east side of the intersection. So there was not a U-turn movement involved.
Right, and as was said, it was later down the road where the right-hand vehicle went into the left-hand vehicle.
Yeah, both vehicles met in the center lane of Class.
Is that, okay? Anybody else have any comments? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Hale to disapprove item 5B, seconded by Commissioner Long. Votes, please. Motion to disapprove has passed, so the item is disapproved. And all 8 were in favor. Okay, we go on now to item 5C, Timothy Johnson, P.E., President Johnson and Associates. Establish reserve parking for the physically disabled south side of Northwest 4th Street from approximately 186 feet east to approximately 213 feet east of the east curb line of North Broadway Avenue. Hello, sir. Name, address, 5 minutes.
Caleb Morgan, 1 East Sheridan, Oklahoma City, Suite 200. We are in the process of designing a project in the southeast corner of 4th Street, Northwest 4th Street and E.K. Gaylord. It's apartments that are kind of an infill in that area where there was a parking lot. There's parking on the south side of 4th Street that it's currently not curbed. It's not striped or curbed, so it's kind of just people assuming where to park. We're structuring that parking, striping it, putting curb, and also adding an ADA space to bring it up to code. And so that's what we're here for, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Anybody else want to speak on this item? Okay, staff?
Okay, I'll just kind of echo what Mr. Morgan just said. Part of what's proposed under the other project is they will be structuring parking along the south side of 4th Street, and on this particular block there is no structured parking yet, so as part of structuring the parking, ADA requirements will kick in, and there will be the need for at least one of those parking spaces to be reserved for the physically disabled. So the request that they are making is appropriate given the actions to take to structure the parking. I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
All right, can I have a motion concerning 5C?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Schuline. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. Any discussion?
Caleb, can you give us more information? It's supposed to be a protected bike lane on 4th Street.
Right.
It's yet to go in, and it would connect from, obviously, the west through. So can you give me more information about how that's going to be maintained?
So we're not changing anything. That's what's there now. The bike lane, as I understand it, is just outside of the parking. So I don't know what level that's supposed to be.
Tier 1.
Tier 1, so it's supposed to be
That's supposed to be
protected by the street
Yeah.
from the adjacent traffic. So that's not the way it is currently. I don't know if there's a project to come in the future and possibly put the road on a diet to fit that in there. This is basically just maintaining what's there now and putting it in an ADA spot. So that I would expect would happen in the future, and they may restructure this parking again, maybe shift it a little bit. And there's also supposed to be a crosswalk coming that was approved, I believe, by this commission previously. So that's kind of in coordination between this project and the YMCA to the north. So some of that is allowed for. We've allowed space for it in this project, but we're not adjusting things for the bike lane.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that would take more effort than just this one block.
Well, and I'm just wondering if, like, as you all are designing, and this is a big ask, but I'm wondering if we can start pulling in planning to potentially do a parking protected lane on that street, because you are right, that's where my kids go to daycare. I drop them
Right.
off every day,
Yep,
and it's very wide, and so we could use a little bit of space, and I wonder if we could,
yeah, and
Try
I
to get
think,
something
I
going
think
there.
our client would be for that, some of that coordination, however we can help, we can take it to our client, and I don't know that what all it would take, but I'm sure if it's not a lot, they would include that as part of their improvements, but that's something we can certainly discuss with them.
thank you.
The only thing I kind of have, and I just don't know, there was a fire hydrant there. What's the distance on a fire hydrant? Is it 15 feet each way?
15 feet, yes.
15 feet each way,
Yeah.
okay.
And if you look at the illustrations there, we've got, the way they've got the site laid out, they will be 15 feet away from the hydrant.
Sure, yeah, I just, it just hasn't come up in the past. Okay, thank you. Anything else for item 5C? Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Schuline, seconded by Commissioner Hale. Votes, please. Item is approved. All 8 are in favor. Thank you very much. We go on now to item 6, comments from citizens. Anybody wanting to speak? Okay. Go to item 7, reports and others from the traffic commissioners, et cetera. We'll go to Commissioner Varnell.
I'll talk this time since Rob's not here. I got to speak at my annual homeowners meeting the other day, and traffic came up, so they asked me to get up and speak, which led to me contacting Stewart about these speed humps in our neighborhood. So we're going to apply for this program and see what happens. I'll keep you all posted on what's going on. That's all I got.
Okay, go to Commissioner Long,
Nothing further?
Commissioner Hale,
Nothing to report, sir.
Commissioner Schuline,
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Wynn,
Nothing, thank you.
go to Commissioner George.
The speed hump, that $50,000, that's a 50-50 split with the neighborhood. So, and how much does like one cost to put in in the mid-block? Are they like $10,000 or?
2,310.
Of which half,
Total, so
yeah,
half is paid by the city
correct.
until the 50,000 runs out.
2,310.
Right, as far as the total material cost goes, it's half city, half applicant, but the city provides all the labor and provides the signs and the other things that go along with it.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
Commissioner Cornett.
I just wanted to mention that a few of us got to attend the ACOG Summit for Safety and listened and learned a lot about things that the city is going to be doing moving forward, including a few of us here in the room. So we're excited to work with a lot of different citizens and different departments and all kinds of people on Oklahoma City's Vision Zero initiative. And anyway, just wanted to shout out that there are a lot of us that had representation there, and so we might be bringing things back here or learning things that we can share.
Right, very good. Okay. Captain?
No report. No report for me. Thank you.
Does anybody want the captain to do some work? Anybody got something in the area?
We're always willing to work. Put me to work.
Teasing. All right, staff, anything else?
I've got nothing else to
Counselor,
add.
anything else? Anybody else got anything for us? All right, we're adjourned.